Good afternoon, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. My name is Lori Drake, and I'm the Building Blocks Community Manager here at Handle. I have provided contact information here. You can scan this QR code if you want to grab your phone really quick, or you can go to any social media site, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, you name it, search hashtag Building Blocks, and you will be able to find the community so that you can follow us, stay up to date on any events, education like this one, networking opportunities, and more. We would love to have you. For those not familiar with Handle, we do have a purpose-built platform that's for building material suppliers. We handle lien rights management, waivers, and job research. We do have an online payment portal that's got a nice tie-in with those waivers as well. Please note that I will manage the chat box. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box, or you can put them in the Q&A. You do have the opportunity as well to take yourself off mute if you would like to ask Melanie any questions directly. You can do that throughout the presentation. Otherwise, at the end of the presentation, we will also have the Q&A, which we can answer your questions there. I would like to introduce Melanie Morcelle. She is the Executive Vice President with Creditors Adjustment Bureau. Little quick side note on Melanie. CAB is a proud sponsor of the Building Blocks community, and they did join us at an event not too long ago in LA, where we were graced with her presence again and excited to celebrate her 5-year anniversary that she has just had. So I'm going to say happy anniversary again, because that wasn't that long ago.
Thank you.
Melanie earned her bachelor's degree and pursued graduate studies at Buffalo State University. She's an experienced presenter, frequently featured in webinars, educational events. She's been in Credit Today and on podcasts. Passionate about volunteering, she actively gives back both personally and professionally. Thank you for joining us today, and I'll let you take it from here.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I'm excited to be with all of you. This is a topic that I have spoken about quite a few times. I've had the opportunity to do this in person at different conference events as well as webinars. It's what sometimes folks would say common sense should be happening, but sometimes a refresher course like this, for those that are familiar with collaboration skills or building consensus among teams, a refresher course can give you a jolt that you need to get it going again and liven it up in your organization. And for those that don't currently use it or don't have an opportunity to be in a position to use it, you can perhaps influence your organization, your team, to become more collaborative. We're in a different world now. We live on Zoom. We are not in person as often as we used to be. So these techniques are so helpful to keep teams together, building not only consensus to make smart decisions, but also building camaraderie with your teammates. It helps managers and leaders build trust, etc. And so today I'm going to share a lot of information with you. I will stop anytime anybody has a question. Please feel free. As Lori said, I'll be happy to stop. This is your webinar, not mine. I know I'm not going to be able to have you learn everything on the following slides. However, I hope that each of you will walk away with a few nuggets of knowledge and information that will make more successful opportunity for you as an employee and or employer. Okay, so let's talk about let me just share with you quickly the agenda for this afternoon. I'm going to start off with a story, what many say is a perfect example. And then before you can start implementing decision-making and working with your team, you need to know, what is it? What is team decision-making after all? Why use it? What are the benefits, the true benefits of it? And then how to implement it, right? You can have all the knowledge you want, but unless you start using it, knowing how to use it effectively, right? We're always doing more with less time to do more. So an opportunity to really put structure around collaborating with your team really helps to be more effective. And also, it promotes change more quickly and better decision-making. So how do you build it? Using it across different departments. That's really important as well. I just did a presentation on sales versus credit and how to get along, right? How does the sales department get along with the credit department? It's very important that cross departments work together, and using collaboration skills is really an innovative way to do that and build camaraderie actually within the departments and for the whole organization. The other thing I always say is you don't know what you don't measure. So I'm going to quickly share with you benchmarking and then some successful standards to follow. And then finally, I'm going to bring it all together for you. So with that, let's start with this story. It's a true one. In 1970s, Xerox invented what was called the Alto computer, one of the very first Xerox computers ever to use graphical user interface. Some of us remember that, right? I certainly do. Well, the company executives at that time were businessmen without any technical knowledge, not understanding the immense technology opportunity that was before them, and not collaborating with other departments at Xerox that might have had that knowledge. They actually gave the Alto away to universities, and they showed it to other companies to see if they wanted to donate it to them. Then came Steve Jobs. Well, we all know him, right? Within 5 minutes, the visionary that he was, Steve realized what an opportunity this would be and the way computers were going to work in the future. Well, because Xerox had no patent on the computer, Jobs copied it. We all know the rest is history, right? So there's a perfect example of failing to involve others in making a decision really can have disastrous results. Okay, so what's the lesson learned? First, every manager knows that decision-making is a critical part of every day, and it's not always easy to do, right? Interesting fact, McKinsey did a survey. A mere 28% of executives said they're pleased with the quality of their company's strategic decisions. 28% of executives said that they're pleased with the strategy. 60% said bad decisions happen as often as good ones. I don't know about you, but my career is on 31 years now. I've been 25 in our industry. I've seen a lot of good decisions and I've been a part of a lot of bad decisions, right? So those percentages, I remember them and I'm still experiencing them. So today we're going to explore how to be more effective, most effective work teams, solve problems, make decisions as a group, collaborate, and build consensus. In order to understand, though, the benefits of collaborating and making decisions, let's first look at the expression. First things first, what is it? What is consensus decision making? Well, number one and most important, every opinion matters. It is not a unanimous decision, and it is not a majority vote. Let's go further. It means coming to an understanding. Building consensus in a team means reaching a decision that's acceptable enough for everyone, for all team members to support, with no member in opposition. That's very important. We're going to talk through that. What is important here? Contrary opinions are recognized and addressed, even if the ultimate decision may not always accommodate them specifically. All right, so why would we incorporate consensus when making decisions? Well, everyone benefits. It sounds so simplistic, but let me keep going. Allowing every employee the opportunity to provide feedback and propose solutions, it just makes employees feel valued and heard, right? What does that do? Increases employment satisfaction, employee satisfaction, team camaraderie. The goal is to agree on a decision where there is some benefit for every team member that's affected by the decision. Okay, now that you know what it is and why we use it, let me share some benefits. Okay, first, it encourages communication. It provides the team with a forum to explain how they feel about the matter. Their feelings matter, frankly. It also builds stronger teams. It creates transparency among employees and it inspires a sense of collaboration. And, everyone feels more comfortable working together and specifically talking about what's important to them within their department, within their role, in their job, and also how it's going to affect the whole organization. They become one team that adds such strength to the whole organization when that happens. Also, it empowers employees, right? They feel part of the solution. It increases staff engagement and, as I mentioned, employee satisfaction. Okay, some more benefits. Decisions are more thorough. Why do I say that? Well, because more feedback provides more information. When you have more information, you can make a better informed decision. So it also, with managers, when managers use consensus decision-making processes, it demonstrates that they trust their staff, that they believe that their staff is going to propose smart ideas, and it'll have a positive impact on the organization's success. And what I like also is it increases creativity. So when employees with diverse backgrounds are included, everyone gains novel ideas and fresh perspectives. I like that one specifically because my master's is in creativity way back when. My master's is in creativity and innovation. That's the side of the brain I like. Math and science, I'll take it pass and fail anytime I had an opportunity to do so. So when you're using creativity and collaboration skills, it just makes for a fun environment. I'm looking forward to sharing with you now. All right, consider this fact. When managers or team leaders build consensus, your own blind spots are revealed. Sorry, but it's true. It's a fact. A study conducted, it uncovered 95% of people think that they are self-aware, when surprisingly only 10 or 15% actually are. So by making every decision yourself, you're missing out on important information, such as different culture considerations, diverse education, technical knowledge, as we understood in that first example I provided, and basically life experiences that come to the table. All right, this is very important. Don't let fear creep in. It happens all the time. I always say the opposite of fear is faith, and the opposite of fear is movement, right? Some managers, they might shy away from the idea of including every team member in the decision-making process because they want to avoid conflict, right? No conflict in the organization. However, the kind of ideas that result from this kind of dialogue often highly valuable and even critical to the team's success. All right, implementing. Let's talk about how you might begin to implement consensus decision-making, the process. First, assemble your team. How do you do that? Well, if you're building a new team, look for a variety of experience, cultural diversity, and educational background. Include newcomers along with seasoned staff. We talk a lot about multi-generational workforce. That's been a hot topic for about 7 years now. I had organizations where we had an 80-year-old CFO and an 18-year-old receptionist at the front. How do you get along, right? Well, you know what? They both have so much to offer. So include newcomers along with those that are seasoned. Putting that together just creates such creative brainstorming opportunities to learn so much from the experience and or the fresh perspective. So very important. The individuals who will be executing the agreed upon solution should be part of the decision making, the building of that team. So any individuals who are going to be executing the solution, they should be part of building the actual team. All right. Identify a common goal. Make sure your team understands the purpose of the proposed collaboration. Is it to solve a problem? Do you have a new procedure that you need to implement? Do you have a project you're designing? Or is there an issue? It could even be something that's not positive. It could be something negative that's going on in the organization. You can come together as a team and address the issue. Also, it's very important, the purpose as well as understanding your employees' expectations. Once your team members understand what the purpose is, then gauge their expectations, encourage them to be honest about their feelings and what they hope to accomplish. Listen, right? They say this, another thing I've been saying, I was saying it to my kids for years, raising them. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen twice as often as you speak. It's so important to encourage your team and to ask your manager for an opportunity to share your honesty with them and your feelings and what they're looking to accomplish, whether it's in this specific goal and or within the organization and the role that you currently have. It's easier to set the tone of the meeting when everyone knows everyone's individual expectations. And open-mindedness and flexibility must be one of the first rules when implementing this process. Let's stay open-minded, No idea is a bad idea in the beginning. And let's be flexible. If you see the organization or your team moving in one direction that might be different than what you had thought was going to happen, flexibility will get you to the finish line. All right. I love this. I love this little graphic here. If I tag some fan with a foul ball, does the team lawyer have my back? Oh, that's where we are these days, right? So first and most important, appoint a facilitator. Before your first meeting, appoint a facilitator that is a respected team member and also someone who has strong interpersonal skills. The facilitator is responsible for, they summarize all the talking points that were previously made, and also they continue to move the meeting forward. Keep everybody on track at the end of the meeting, right? Or a series of meetings. The facilitator ensures that there's agreement regarding the final consensus. So a facilitator keeps everyone on track, keeps everything moving, has to be someone that has those strong interpersonal skills. And then also they ensure that an agreement is going to happen at the end. Okay, so now that we know we need a facilitator, here are some successful practices for building group consensus. There's several of them. And before I started this whole thing several years ago, I didn't know all of these existed, and they're kind of neat. Some are common, a good refresher for us, and others you may not have heard of. So I'm going to share them with you quickly today. The first is brainstorming, right? The next is what's called brainwriting. Then there's something called rapid ideation. And then there's another technique called round robin brainstorming. There is something called mind mapping. And then finally, multi-voting. So I'm going to go through each one of these. Know that I will be available after the webinar. My contact information will be there as well. It's a lot of information that I'm sharing with you. And if anything is sparking your interest and you don't quite want to ask a question now, please contact me and I'll be able to walk you through any one of these techniques and share with your team how to be successful managing any one of them. Okay, what is brainstorming? How does it work? Well, the facilitator defines the problem or the topic. Okay, now each team member then suggests ideas. This can be done in turn or as ideas arise. At this point, it's very important that no idea is criticized or evaluated. Quite often, I'll be in boardrooms when I do education on creativity and innovation within large teams. You know, we use Post-it notes and put them all over the walls, different colors. No idea is a bad idea. Just keep writing, just keep sharing your ideas. And, you know, they can be written on a board, a flip chart. Like I said, Post-it notes just on the wall, wherever you are. And then once all the ideas are generated, and when you say all ideas, you know, it's kind of like anything you're going through and you start really fast, you have all these different ideas, boom, 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 and then start slowing down a little bit. You know, don't quite stop there yet. Give yourself another 10 seconds in the room. And because usually while you're sitting there, one last idea might come. And quite often that's one that's used. And then once they're all generated, the group goes back and you refine the list. Okay, this is done by now going back to each idea and asking for explanations if you need it. Okay, you'll also see that when you're brainstorming, a lot of the Post-it notes, for example, will be the same idea or very similar. So you can combine them, right? And then you start prioritizing as well. This is a really great idea. However, this is a long-term solution, not necessarily a short-term solution. So let's now start prioritizing most effective to least effective or most urgent, right? One that has more time. Most people are familiar with brainstorming. It's simple. It's an effective way to generate ideas in a group. All right. Brainstorming, as I said, happens in a variety of ways. One is brainwriting, right? Crazy variations of brainstorming. Let me share a few of them with you here. Brainwriting. This is where each person writes down 3 ideas that relate to the topic. Then they pass their idea to the person on their right, who then builds on those 3 ideas. After another few minutes, everyone passes the piece of paper again until it makes its way around the group. Once everyone's ideas have been viewed by each team member, the group discusses them, and then you decide on which ones are best to pursue. That's brainwriting. Then there's a cool technique called rapid ideation. This is where each team member writes down as many ideas as possible within a set amount of time. It's very important to establish and stick to the time constraint, or else you'll lose that sense of urgency. When you are brainstorming using rapid ideation and you have a time clock, it just all of these quick ideas just flow out of you. So it's very important to have that sense of urgency. It's kind of like the game shows where they have that someone has, so many few seconds to figure out what the word is. You'll always recognize next time if you watch one, you'll hear some music playing in the background. Do, 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 right? That's a Jeopardy. That is specifically to continue with that sense of urgency in someone's mind as they're trying to come up with a decision. Really, I think that's kind of key, kind of neat. Okay, round robin brainstorming. In this technique, every team member contributes one idea to the brainstorm. However, there's two very important rules. Each person must participate once before anyone can contribute a second idea. You also can't evaluate, you can't criticize any idea that is discussed. You can't discuss it. You can't evaluate it, you can't criticize it, and you can't discuss it. Each person just participates once before anyone can contribute a second idea. And then the second rule is no one may say, oh, my idea was already mentioned. No, instead the facilitator can come back to that person at the end when they've had more time to think. Okay, here's a couple more. This one is mind mapping. This technique is different. And I like this one because it's especially useful for visual thinkers, which I happen to be. I need to see something on paper in front of me. Mind mapping comes in when the first idea shared with a team isn't always the best idea. But if you look at the graphic that I've provided here, it sparks better ideas. So it's kind of like a web that's formed. The team starts with one idea and then draws lines connecting related ideas to the first one. It creates a mind map of sorts. Finally, we have what's called multi-voting, often used to reduce a list of brainstorming ideas down to a manageable few. Depending on how large your group is, you could have so many ideas. It's hard to understand how to pull them together. This is how multi-voting can be very beneficial. Team members cast their votes for the ideas they believe are best, but they're only allowed one vote per idea. Then this can be done a couple of different ways. First, it could be a show of hands. However, very important, if this is a situation where you provide confidentiality within your team, provide a ballot box method, right? Or any other confidential method you might have in your organization to think of, so that everybody will share truth, honesty, right? And also feel that their idea is valued. They're not afraid to say it. And, receiving votes from at least half of the team are then circled. The majority of the votes are the consensus. There you go. The decision's been made. Are we good, Lori? Are there any questions? I just want to stop here and see if everybody's good. Any hands raised or anything like that? If not, that's fine. I just wanted to do a quick pulse check.
I don't see any currently, but this is a lot of great information. I had no idea there were these different methods that you could do.
It's cool, isn't it? I know. And then like I said, I have I'm a visual person, so I can literally picture standing up there and, crossing the line to this idea, to that idea. And, it ends up really being fun as a team. I'll show you.
I think so. I think the urgency too can make it a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, think about it, right? Yeah. I'm telling you, that game show, when I mentioned that, right?
Jeopardy.
I can't tell you how many times after a webinar I've shared that someone has reached out to me and said, oh my gosh, Melanie, I was watching Wheel of Fortune. Now I know why that music was playing in the background. I go, oh yeah, that person won $10,000, didn't they?
That's funny.
It's kind of neat. Just those, what are those subliminal things that happen, right? In life.
Yep.
Right. Okay, so we all know this. We know this in our personal lives, in our professional lives. Sometimes just a walk is in order, right? We all benefit from a change of scenery, right? Physical space plays a big part in how your team members work, think, and feel. And like I said, yes, for work teams, yes, in our personal life. If you kind of walk away from your desk, go outside, or right, hit the water cooler wherever you are, it just gives you a sense of rejuvenation, right? So it plays a big part in how you think, feel, and work. So it's important to do that while you're collaborating and you're working on consensus decision making on situations that are important for your organization. So moving your brainstorming session outside to maybe a casual lunch place can help new ideas to flow. Another thing that happens now that we're in such a Zoom world post-COVID, what I see is we'll go into different rooms on Zoom with 3 or 4 different people, and we'll kind of have a little side coffee, if you will, or a side glass of water, or an opportunity to share a story about, oh, this is what happened to me yesterday, kind of just gives everybody looking at your computer screen all day on Zoom. It's kind of nice to even just have an opportunity to walk away from whatever you're looking at. So however you can make it work in your organization and how you operate as an organization, change of scenery is beneficial. And then keeping the same group of people together in the same room also makes it feel monotonous. And then that's where I just shared about switching team members, right? Start with this 4, then you move over to this 4, then you move over to this 4, whatever the number. And that can be done also on Zoom and Teams as well. People just think differently and more creatively with a change of scenery, even if it's just for a short period of time. Talking about time, take your time. Allow plenty of time to explore all the feedback, review the information that's in front of you and what are all the options that are available. Take your time. Team members share their ideas and elaborate on how the organization can act, and then it allows for a calculated decision on how best to proceed. All right. This is another really great technique that organizations use quite often. They ask me to come and support their facilitation of this because working within your one team is great, and that can be very useful for a lot of decisions you have within your department. But now let's move into cross-functional teams. These are teams that are created by members from different areas of the organization. All right, it's a win-win. The benefit of building consensus amongst across teams, resolving issues that impact more than one department or team provides your organization with a competitive edge. Once you understand, like I shared short time ago, sales versus credit, for example, that's just a common one in our industry. Once you understand what the other side is, how they're looking at the situation, it's quite different than the way you're looking at it. If you can understand how each department is thinking and why they're doing what they're doing, it gives you a competitive edge, right? Involving cross-functional teams right from the start, it secures unbiased support. Also, empathy and trust. No one is protecting their turf. That means fewer delays in implementing change. And then bringing teams together from different areas of the company together, it just results in so many more innovative solutions. All right, how do you assemble one? Well, this is what you do. Number 1, aim for a diverse mix. Experience level, their abilities, seniority, gender, ethnicity, and age should all be considered when pulling together a cross-functional team. Be sure to include, this is very important, some of your organization's influencers. And you know who those people are. Those are those natural leaders. They're well-liked and respected. They work easily with others. However, it's very important to also recognize that they're not afraid to be communicative, because so often so many are well-liked and respected and they work easily with others. But you want to make sure that they're also a natural leader, if you will. And when I say that, it's someone that's not afraid to be vocal. They feel confident to share what they believe. Also, subject matter experts are so important. Who in your organization knows the most about a particular process? about the product or the discipline. Who is it? Who's the subject matter expert? Make sure you involve them. They can accelerate your team's efforts because they share all that knowledge. That's common sense, but so often overlooked. The goal here is you want your team to possess within itself all the skills that are required to achieve your goal, including implementation, right? The goal is to get to A, but the true goal is then to implement A so that you have your not only your decision, implementing on the decision, change is made, progress is made, employees feel successful. All right, how to gain consensus when you're working with different teams or different departments. Number one, compromise. All team members must feel that their input has been heard and understood, right? Everybody wants to feel that way, but that is so very important. Support takes time. Therefore, I want to remind you once again, take your time. Make certain that everyone feels that they have been heard, they've been understood. If you're not quite sure, repeat what someone said and say, am I understanding correctly? Is this what you said? And you repeat that. It allows them, oh, no, that isn't what I meant at all. What I truly meant was, or yes, that was exactly what I meant. Okay. A skilled facilitator is careful not to call for a decision too soon. Take your time. Doing so can result in keeping you from getting the support needed for a successful outcome. All right. Now we're going to talk about benchmarking. This is another collaboration technique that works well. Collaborative benchmarking. But what is it? Let me explain. First, I'm going to start with the third bullet point. You don't really know if you don't measure. Benchmarking is often a way of comparing KPIs with outside competitors, perhaps. Benchmarking is another area where collaboration results in greater success. Comparing with your competitors collaboratively creates a spirit of friendly competition within your own organization. And it also will then help identify best-in-class practices, which is that ongoing. Once you establish how to build consensus, how to use collaboration skills within your organization, it's not a one and done. This will be a new way of conducting business, and it'll identify for you best-in-class ongoing practices. All right, here's some successful tips for best-in-class benchmarking. Have a timeline. Time. Time is of the essence. Limit the scope of your benchmarking to ensure your research and your data gathering can be finished within a predetermined time. I can't tell you how many times, pardon the pun, I have seen organizations where they didn't put a time around it, and it just kept going and going and going, and they just couldn't pull it in. So be very careful that your scope has time to finish in a predetermined manner. And then choose an appropriate comparison. Stay within your industry, perhaps, how your performance compares to companies that are most like yours. You know, if your primary objective is to gain perspective and insight on different business processes, perhaps looking outside your organization, outside your industry is also a good option. And make sure departments or outside companies, whoever you choose to compare with, that they are exhibiting excellence. All right, stick to meaningful metrics. Make sure you're comparing apples to apples. Limit your benchmarking research to a few meaningful metrics that are standard across your industry. It's better to have 3 than 12, frankly. Be sure to decide with your team ahead of time exactly how these indicators will be measured. And then shift your focus. Once you've acquired the data you need from your key metrics and you've done a comparison of business processes, now it's time. Shift your focus. Why? Because this is when you need to figure out now how to best use this information that you've received and gathered. So with that, let's bring it all together. All right. First, what did I share? Research shows that most workplace failures are due to a lack of collaboration or ineffective communication. Next, we learned when team members experience more autonomy in their work, it enhances their involvement in their company's operations. Also, according to Gallup, highly engaged staff members produce substantially better outcomes. They're also less likely to experience burnout and more likely to stick around. It's that feeling of employment satisfaction. Also, they need to believe that they are personally contributing to the organization's overall success. I know I feel good when I know I'm doing that with my organization. Consensus-driven decision making, cross-functional teams, and collaborative benchmarking for best practices, they're all effective tools for building stronger and more cohesive work teams. And then seamless collaboration isn't only key to increasing productivity, it's critical for our own happiness as an employee. And then today's smart leaders, they recognize collaboration is a winning formula for success. And there you have it. That is, consensus decision making, building teams that work together, trust each other, believe in the organization, and make things happen.